Hi, friends. Thanks for joining me for another episode of Reinvention and Starting Over. This is a podcast for women navigating major life transitions and are on that journey of reinvention or starting over, but not sure how or where to start. Or perhaps you're on your journey and you need strategies, tips, and encouragement to help you along the way. If that's you, you are in the right place. Now, something I love helping women with is navigating those major life transitions and how to get unstuck during that journey. And that's exactly what we're talking about today. So, navigating a major life transition is often the catalyst that brings women to the point of needing to reinvent or having to start over. But so often women don't realize that they're in a transition versus just a regular small change that happens in life. As a result of this, they end up feeling stuck, but they're just not sure why. Friends, that realization is the key to getting unstuck. That's what we're going to delve into today. So let's think about this business of navigating major life transitions. The first question is, well, what is a major life transition? What do you mean by that? So I describe it as the journey between the end of something significant in your life and the start of a new chapter. So what do I mean by something significant? Well, something has ended. Maybe you've become an empty nester, so you've ended your role of parenting in the way that you used to. Obviously, they're still your children, but you are an empty nester now. That role that you played for so long is no longer how you're going to be navigating your life. That's ended. Or perhaps a divorce, unfortunately, or the breakdown of a relationship. That's something significant in your life. And when something like that ends, there seems to be a void. Or maybe it's something like the loss of a job. So there are some major things that happen, but there are also other examples, such as just a sense of dissatisfaction or feeling that you need to reevaluate your values, your purpose, your self-worth. All of these things can be significant and they are major life transitions. All of these things also cause disorientation. And so when we're talking about a major life transition, we're talking about things like this that make you feel unsettled and unbalanced. And it's not a simple step from one thing to the next. That period in between the end of that thing ending and the beginning of the next is what I like to call the in-between. And it's a time of not knowing, to be honest. This in-between phase actually causes a lot of challenges to come up. And they're not insurmountable, but they are things that have to be addressed. Questions that come up are things like, who am I now? So that's in reference to your identity, because the roles that you played in those old situations no longer are. And when you're not parenting all the time, when you are not the wife, when you are not the manager or C-suite leader that you've been, who are you now? Another common question that happens in this in-between phase is, what's my purpose? Because again, the roles that you played were perhaps a large part of your purpose for that season of your life. And now that that role isn't there, the sense of purpose, the sense of what you're supposed to be doing can feel unclear. Another question that comes up in this in-between phase is, what's next? So what's next for me? And this is the thing that gets people so often, because usually, we are women in our 40s. We've been absolutely successful in so many different ways, and we've always known the next thing. But when we're in a major life transition, we don't know the next thing because often we haven't planned on coming to this place. And so we have to think about what's next. And that can take a lot of time, especially if what you've always done has just been something that came naturally to you. Circumstances made you a mother, made you a wife. You went up the career ladder. You didn't really have to think that much about what was next. Another thing that comes up in this in-between phase are resurfacing dreams that you perhaps have suppressed or have never had a chance to explore. And so these are some of the challenges that happen in that in-between phase. Now, as much as I've said so far, the incredible thing is that the reason so many women feel stuck in this situation is because you don't actually realize you're in a major life transition. You don't realize it, and you cannot take action on something that you're not even aware of. This place of the in-between, the end of the old and the beginning of your new chapter, is uncharted territory. It's somewhere that you haven't been before. And so if you're somewhere that you haven't been before, you don't have a roadmap. You don't have a plan for how to deal with it. And that disorientation you feel, the sense of you don't have a sense of direction, all of those things are very unsettling. And it's very common then in this in-between phase that you also don't have a vision for what's next. And the reason you don't have a vision for what's next is because you haven't fully acknowledged that you are headed into something new. So thinking about this, what are some signs that we can look for to first identify that you are navigating a major life transition? Because friends, I tell you this, if you can actually recognize where you are, that realization is the catalyst. It's the first step towards getting unstuck. Because so many women in this phase of life, when something old has ended and something new is beginning, report feeling stuck. And you feel stuck because you try everything that you know to do and it isn't working. It's not yielding the same results that you're used to. So let's get clear and let's help you to decide, is this me? Am I in a major life transition? Some things to look for. Firstly, something major has ended. For example, have all of your children left home and now you're an empty nester? Has the job or the role or the career that you've had ended? Has an important relationship for you ended? Or are you experiencing a sense of dissatisfaction? And even things like perimenopause can be triggers for broader thinking about who am I, what's my purpose, what do I want to do next with my life, all of these things. So that first thing to think about is, has something major ended that is leaving a void in your life? The next thing is, do you have a sense or a feeling of being unsettled, being dissatisfied? Maybe you are still in the role that you've always had, but you're just feeling this just is not doing it for me anymore. It's not cutting it. I know that there's something new coming. I feel like this thing is coming to an end. Another thing to consider is a good indicator of you being in a major life transition or that you're about to enter into one is this feeling of being called to something new, something that aligns more with who you're becoming, because perhaps the way you have been in the last several or many years is no longer who you want to be in your future. Maybe there is an unfulfilled desire that you really want to explore. You're not even sure what that thing is, but you have this sense of being called to something new. Another sign is that your old life no longer fits. So what used to work, what used to feel good, what used to be fulfilling, it just doesn't fit anymore. Even some friendships and relationships you've had, places you used to go, it feels unfulfilling, and you know that there is something more for you beyond what you've always done. If any of those things sound familiar to you, they may be indicators that you are in a major life transition. And if that rings a bell for you, don't be sad, don't be discouraged. An acknowledgement of this is a great sign because it will give you direction about what you can do next. The realization is a major step towards getting beyond that feeling of being stuck that so many women in this phase report. And the exciting thing is you get to move forward on your reinvention journey. When you have this realization and you're like, actually, I am in a major life transition. That realization right there will open the door for you to do work on your identity and then create a vision for what you want next. Friend, this was a short episode today, but I just thought it was so important to help you to realize whether or not you're in a major life transition. And if so, then think about the steps that you can take towards reinventing and building a life that aligns with who you are becoming. Now, as a woman who has started over more than once in my life and I've navigated some major life transitions, I know how disorienting this can be. If you could use some help with this specifically and you need to go deeper on getting help, here's your next step. Click the link in the show notes and book a free clarity conversation with me, and let's think about ways that we can work together to help you to decide what you want next, to get clarity about your identity, and make plans to make the life and the vision that you desire a reality. Thank you so much for joining me today, friends, and I will see you on the next episode.